A very good evening everyone and welcome to another episode of Boost Your Vocabulary with me Shreya Srivastav, and we're going to be talking about 5 new words for your vocabulary, and then we'll probably talk about also the meanings, how can you relate them in the real world. So it's not just for your entrances but also for your normal day-to-day life. So I thought that we've been doing a lot of idioms for the past few days, so आज vocabulary करते हैं, and I think that should work well for us today, right? So we'll do that, and we'll begin with the first word that we're supposed to do for the day. So let's have a look at which word we're doing. First word is allure. First word is allure. So allure को हम कैसे याद रख सकते हैं? Allure के हम so if you can look at the second half of the word, you will realize that we have lure as a word, and lure is to basically attract somebody, to tempt somebody, unko trying to attract that person to yourself, or to whatever the thing is that you're attracting that person to. So allure is basically the same as attracting. It's the same as luring, same as tempting, same as trying to draw somebody's attention to yourself, etc. Right? So that's the first word. Iska meaning humne niche hai. So it says to attract somebody, to entice them, to enchant them in a way. Enchant is also again to fascinate them a lot, right? Or to tempt them, or to draw their attention towards whatever. So if you allure somebody towards yourself, you're attracting them. If something allures you, that means it fascinates you, it draws your attention to that one thing, so that's alluring, right? So hum sentence देखते हैं. It says he is allured by the prospect of working on TV. That means he's drawn to the idea of working on TV. He wants to, so he probably follows the nose when it comes to working on TV. So in that sense, we can talk about how alluring is to attract, to entice, to enchant. The power of speech for this word is a verb. It's a verb in the sense that it's an action that somebody does, right, or something does. So क्योंकि ये action है, इसलिए हमने इसे verb बोला है. Let's look at the second word for the day. Second word for the day is body. Now, if you are making jokes on body, जब आप body के ऊपर jokes बनाते हो, for example, it's basically jokes that are obscene, jokes that are inappropriate, jokes that are vulgar. That is what we call body. Alright, so any sort of sexual innuendos, any sort of hint or an insinuation कि ये जो हम बोल रहे हैं is related to sexuality, vulgarity, obscenity, तो हम उसे body बोलेंगे. So in the sentence, look at how it's used. It says she filed a complaint against him for passing body comments. Passing body comments as in he was probably passing comments that were sexual in nature, vulgar, inappropriate, not something that you can comment on in a professional environment maybe. So obscene. So in the part of speech, we've said that it's an adjective. Why? Because we're really talking about the comments here. Or if we're relating it to jokes and saying body jokes, body remarks, then they were saying that there are sexual, vulgar, obscene remarks or obscene jokes, right? So that's body. That is our second word for the day. Let us head to the third word that we're going to be looking at, which is calumny. Calumny. Calumny से एक word जो आपको दिख रहा होगा इसमें बहुत categorically, or something that you can relate with very easily, is column. Okay, column. Now if you think of columns, you'll generally think of columns as newspaper columns, magazine columns, and then I would want to direct your attention to how there is something called HT City, and then and Times of India का जो वो वाला आपका Delhi Times वाला newspaper section आता है. Are these words from vocab booster? Yes, Jack, they are all from the vocab booster. So you can just have a look at your vocab booster, you'll find all of these words there. Okay, so so column से अगर हम इसे relate करें, and then how some of these newspaper columns, what do? They make weird news and statements just to grab your attention, but also to belittle the other person. किसी को नीचा दिखाने की कोशिश. So a statement, a column, a written piece per se, or it can also be a spoken piece, by the way, which basically puts the other person down, that ruins somebody's reputation. That is what calumny is. Okay, so a gossip column से हम इसे याद रख सकते हैं, या फिर एक ऐसा column जो that's going to probably put somebody else down. So meaning wise, it says a statement that is not true and is intended to belittle the person, or a slander. So again, something written or a spoken piece which is basically only intended so that the other person is denigrated, other person is put down, or their reputation ruined, right? So sentence says he was subjected to the most humiliating calumny. That means बहुत ज़्यादा खराब बातें बोली गई थी उसके बारे में, बुराई करी गई थी, things that weren't even true about him. So part of speech wise, this is a noun, because we're speaking that it's a sentence, it's a statement, right? It's a written or a spoken piece which talks about denigrating the other person. So calumny still is a noun. Humiliating here becomes the adjective and calumny becomes the noun. Now Jack says, can you please guide me, how should we prepare for English part for Xavier's? I think for Xavier's, Jack, what you should be looking at majorly is vocabulary, of course. So concentrate a lot on vocabulary, on idioms, and one word substitutions. I'm sure that if you attend Pratham's classes for grammar, your grammar will be pretty much sorted. तो अगर आपने ग्रामर की वीडियोस एंड क्लासेस अटेंड करी तो ग्रामर सॉर्ट हो जाएगा. एट दिस पॉइंट आई थिंक व्हाट यू शुड वर्क अ लॉट मोर ऑन एंड शुड वर्क एवरी डे is vocabulary, idioms and one word substitution, all of which you'll be able to find in your knowledge primer. ठीक है, आपके knowledge primer में ये सारी चीज़ें हैं. So maybe just like take 10 words every day and learn them. Right, so I think that should be helpful because your Xavier's is majorly vocabulary, and also of course there are reading comprehensions as well, but then that is something that you can work towards a little after your boards. Right now आप क्या कर सकते हो कि आप vocabulary उठा सकते हो, ठीक है, from your knowledge primer. Thank you ma'am, your way of teaching is well. Thank you so much, that's very very kind of you, it means a lot. Thank you. Okay, so that was the third one. Moving on to the fourth for the day, which is deviant. डिविएंट से हम निमोनिक एड निकाल सकते हैं, डिविएशन या डाइवर्जेंट. डिविएशन इज सही पाथ से हट जाना. डाइवर्जेंट इज ऑल्सो लाइक मूविंग टू अ डिफरेंट पाथ. So that's deviant, right? So meaning wise देखो, it says moving away from the normal path, from the normal way of doing things, normal methods से side अलग हट जाना, that is deviant. Aberrant and anomalous are synonyms. Aberrant again is something that is not normal, is slightly erroneous. Normal straight चीज से again moving away from a correct path, moving away from the straight path, उसको हम aberrant बोलेंगे. And for anomalous, anomalous comes from a plus normal. So something that is not normal is anomalous. So deviant को हम, we can relate it with all of these words, moving away from the normal, deviation, divergent, aberrant and anomalous, all of these. Sentence, he was reprimanded for her deviant behavior. I think what it should say is he was reprimanded for his deviant behavior. Deviant behavior here would mean aberrant behavior, anomalous, abnormal, थोड़ा सा rebellious, maybe incorrect kind of behavior. So that is that. Adjective है because we are talking about the behavior here, and behavior is a noun. Describing how the behavior is becomes an adjective here. So deviant is an adjective. This was our fourth word. Let's head to the last word for the day, which is the fifth word, which is effrontery. Effrontery के लिए we can obviously look at the word. In the middle of the word says front, right? So हम front से ऐसे याद रख सकते हैं. To speak up front. Okay, so up front होके बात करना. Not mincing your words, calling a spade. बहुत ही स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होके, बट इट कम्स एंड इट्स स्लाइटली ऑन द एज ऑफ बीइंग अ लिटिल रूड एंड बीइंग अ लिटिल इनसेंसिटिव अबाउट समबडीज फीलिंग्स, उससे हम कहते हैं फ्रंटरी. सो स्पीक अप फ्रंट, जैसा है वैसा बोलना, मगर थोड़ा रूडनेस के साथ, बोल्डनेस के साथ. सो मीनिंग हियर इज स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्डनेस, रूडनेस, ऑडेसिटी, being very frank, very candid, but it also comes with a certain sense of impertinence, it comes with a certain sense of rudeness. ठीक है, so that is that. Sentence में देखो, he says he had the effrontery to ask me for money, he had the audacity to ask me for money. इतनी boldness that you become insensitive, or you just become carefree, or you just don't care about the world, वो उस सेंस को हम कहेंगे effrontery. Part of speech wise it's a noun because straightforwardness, rudeness, any double s at the end of the word becomes an a noun. Also ity, audacity, ity, that also is a noun. So effrontery is also a noun, right? I hope you enjoyed today's session. These were the 5 words that we wanted to do. I hope you liked it, and please make sure that you're noting it down somewhere. And if you need any help, any questions, you can always reach out to us via the comment section on these videos. We'll see you on Saturday next. Take care of yourselves until then. Bye bye. Have a very good night.